him up.
But is this too late to have as much of an impact? I mean, all the polls released by David Schweikert, showed him up by double digits. Is this too late to?
First of all, I've always been a little suspicious of people's internal polls. I've had them being ahead by as much as 50 points. Sometimes unanimous almost. So I'm a little suspicious of those, number one. Number two is I don't think there's any doubt that there is a very large number of undecided voters. And this is a time I know for a fact that a good, very large percentage of voters make up their minds in the last few days, some even in the last 48 hours. This is, I think, a very important time.
Are there any other issues that you did with Schweikert on?
National defense, he voted against the Patriot Act, he voted against the defense authorization bill. Those two issues, John and I have spent an enormous amount of our time on national security. We think we understand these issues. Between us, there's about 50 years of experience. And for him to vote the way that he did, without even consulting me and Senator Kyl, is probably more remarkable. I don't dispute his right to vote the way that he did. I just strongly disagree, and I don't know anything more important than the national security issues. John?
I might just say, I actually was concerned enough that I called Representative Schweikert to ask for an explanation on his vote on the Patriot Act. One other one, he was against it before he was for it, was the payroll tax extension, which second time around was not paid for, was tied to other issues that we thought were bad. And he actually opposed it before he turned around and then voted for it. That's just one more off the top of my head. The payroll tax holiday was the second. The president wanted to give a benefit to taxpayers from the payroll tax, which funds Social Security. And this was a problem because obviously we don't want to take money away from programs that support our seniors. And the second time around when this was done, it was not, quote, paid for. In congressional parlance, that means that it wasn't offset. It was an expense to the taxpayers, and it was either going to harm the programs that we have for seniors, or it's going to harm the taxpayer. One or the other. You could argue both are true. And he made the same point. He said this was generational theft, and I think he was right the first time. Then he turned around and supported it. And then has the audacity to criticize Congressman Quayle on the theory that it is a tax increase. Well, it's not a tax increase. The question was, do you exempt some people from paying the tax for a period of time? That's all it was. So it's another example of an unfair attack that he leveled against Representative Quayle, and just one more difference of opinion that we have.
Senator McCain,
Sir.
You were highly critical of the way Mr. Schweikert's campaign has run this. 2 years ago, you labeled your primary opponent as a huckster. What's the difference between that and
the reason is I had ample evidence, and that was video that showed me doing exactly that. As I said, I know that politics are a very tough business. I've been in it quite a while. But it's one thing to have a video of someone telling the American people that they can get free money from the government from an unsubstantiated attack, and this goes both ways in your window. I think there's a dramatic difference. I'm not saying in politics we don't go after our opponents. I'm saying we do it with evidence and fact.
But is Schweikert sending out a mailer saying Ben Quayle can't be trusted any different than Congressman Quayle sending out a mailer calling him dishonest Dave?
As I said, I don't think that this, everybody can make their own judgment. You're entitled to yours, everybody's entitled to theirs. I believe this crosses the line.
Senator, what do you think about today's undocumented citizens signing up for work visas? How did that take you by?
I know this is the first day for this program that the administration announced. A lot of people have noted that it is fraught with opportunities for fraud. The main problem that I have with it is that there was never any congressional authorization for a decision by the administration to simply decide not to enforce the law, to allow people to come sign up for a program by which, in effect, they would be put in a special category of people that don't have to abide by the law. I think we ought to have laws passed by Congress, signed by the President, and then enforced by the President.
Would that change maybe if presidents were switched? I mean,
If Romney were elected?
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right, or do you think it would be reversed? If-
Well, Governor Romney has already spoken to this precise issue, and he has said that he will propose his own program that tries to solve the problem rather than simply look the other way because he doesn't happen to agree with the law.
So it's not the right way to handle this?
Governor Romney has made the commitment that he will have a comprehensive immigration reform proposal for Congress in January. Let me say, not in January, at the beginning of his administration, something that President Obama has never done. President Obama campaigned in 2008 say that he would have an immigration reform plan for the Congress of the United States. He still, to this day, has not done it. For the first 2 years of his administration, he had overwhelming majorities in both houses. He is the one, was one of those who was responsible for the destruction of the effort that Sen Kyl and I made for comprehensive immigration reform, because he took the side of labor and tried to exempt farm workers program as which was part of the immigration reform. So it was President Obama who has not brought forth immigration reform, and it's President Obama who killed the other proposal. So I wish that more and more American citizens understood that.
Something that just came up in the last hour or so, I don't know if you're probably not aware, Governor Brewer issuing an executive order regarding the deferred action law. She is saying because they are here, despite deferred action, these people will be here illegally and so are not entitled to any state benefits, including driver's licenses. Does that square with your understanding of what deferred action does, the status that it confers?
I'd have to look at it right before I, not enough
Senator, do you
to
think
say.
it helps or hurts the economy that you guys are signing up these work visas?
Well, I think it hurts Arizona when we have a flow of drugs coming across our southern border, which is then brought to Phoenix with guides on mountaintops and drugs brought to Phoenix that are distributed throughout the United States of America. I think it's very harmful. It kills our children. It increases crime. It caused 60,000 Mexican citizens to be killed in the last couple of years. I think it's terrible. In some places in this city right here, there's drop houses where people in numbers are kept in the worst possible conditions called drop houses, brought here by coyotes who are holding them for ransom. I think those are terrible things, and I think we ought to address those issues, and we ought to address them seriously. And we can probably do that best with a comprehensive immigration reform, which would include increased border enforcement using a lot of the high-tech equipment that we have developed in Iraq and Afghanistan, such as UAVs. I would like to also mention finally in closing that despite Senator Kyl's and my serious objections, and I mean serious objections, Graham Resnick was just made a citizen of the United States of America.
Thank you all.
Other question, the Schweiker campaign said you called him a month ago to tell him that you were endorsing
Yeah, I called him up.
Quayle.
Yeah.
That happened a month ago?
Roughly, I remember saying.
After which he informed the National Journal that he never sought the senator's endorsement. If you all want to go look up that article, and you just heard that refuted.